Ladies and gentlemen, in a world drowning us is often silence. Words may persuade, Aurelius said, but presence commands to win, truly win. Any word is not a trick, but a discipline. Aurelius said, it begins with you. Silence, in a world that can shatter, can be an incredibly powerful tool. Marcus Aurelius said, in a society where communication is often dominated by words, we overlook the strength found in stillness. Marcus Aurelius said, it is in silence that one finds clarity, reflection, and true control over situation. While words can inform, persuade, Marcus Aurelius said, or even deceive, silence holds a deeper influence, one that codes from understanding and inner calm. Aurelius said, silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is a presence in its own right. A presence that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. Marcus Aurelius said, there is something profoundly commanding about a mind composed in the midst of chaos. In many ways, Marcus Aurelius said, silence can carry more weight than speech because it is not the product of impulse or emotional reaction, but of deliberate choice. When we choose silence, we create space for ourselves to think, to breathe, and to reflect. Marcus said, in moments of confrontation or conflict, those who remain often perceived as more confident, more in control, Marcus Aurelius said, and more grounded than those who engage in rapid exchanges. Silence is also a means of non-verbal communication. Marcus Aurelius said, it has the power to convey thoughts, emotions, and intention without the need for language. Marcus Aurelius said, the unspoken can sometimes say more than what articulated. Think of a moment when someone remained quiet, but their posture, Marcus Aurelius said, their expression, or the mere act of staying communicated a sense of strength or authority. In such moments, Marcus Aurelius said, the silence itself becomes the message. It tells others that they are not easily shaken, that their resolve is unwavering, Marcus Aurelius said, and that they are not swayed by the trivialities around them. In moments of tension, Marcus Aurelius said, silence can be a powerful tool to diffuse the situation. When people are caught in an argument or heated discussion, Marcus Aurelius said, often the most powerful response is not to counter with more words, but to remain silent, allowing the intensity of the moment to settle. Marcus Aurelius said, the act of staying silent in the face of provocation forces to confront their own emotional responses. Marcus Aurelius said, rather than feeding into the drama, it creates for reason and an opportunity for the situation to deflate. Moreover, silence allows space for deeper reflection. When we are quiet, Marcus Aurelius said, we are not distracted by the noise around us, and we can tune into our thoughts and feelings more clearly. Marcus Aurelius said, it gives us the ability to observe, analyze, make this a place of clarity rather than reaction. Marcus Aurelius said, in moments of stress or conflict, many people speak feud-driven emotion or a desire to assert themselves. Marcus Aurelius' silence gives us the opportunity to respond rather than react to a situation. Aurelius said, it allows us to remain in control of our emotions, the situation thoughtfully, mark it, and to choose our next step with purpose and precision, since so carries a level of respect. In conversations, Marcus Aurelius said, sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is to listen and not interrupt. By staying silent, Marcus Aurelius said, you give others the space to express their perspective and valuing their voice. In this way, Marcus Aurelius said, silence becomes an act of humility, where one put to speak in favor of understanding the other. Aurelius said, it is in this silence that true connection is made, for it is a willingness to listen and learn. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius said, silence is powerful because it comes from a place of inner strength. It is not passive or weak, Marcus Aurelius said, but rather an active decision to not engage, unharassed discipline and self-control. Marcus Aurelius said, to remain silent in the face of provocation, to excel in a world that constantly urges you to react, is not easy. But it is through this discipline that we find true influence. Marcus Aurelius said, Silence is not about avoiding confrontation or withholding the word. It is about choosing when to speak and when to remain quiet. Marcus Aurelius said, understanding that there are moments when worldliness does more than enough to communicate everything that needs to be said. Marcus Aurelius said, true power is not found in controlling others or exerting dominance over the external world. Marcus Aurelius said, it is rooted in the ability to control oneself, to govern emotions, thoughts, and actions. Marcus Aurelius said, many people seek power through the manipulation of things or the influence they hold over others. Marcus Aurelius said, but this type of power is fragile and temporary. It relies on external substances, the actions of others, Marcus Aurelius said, and the ever-changing dynamics of life. Power that comes from self-mastery is enduring and unshakable, Marcus Aurelius said, because it is grounded in a person's own mind and will. Mastery is not merely about restraint or discipline, Marcus Aurelius said. It is about understanding and harnessing the forces within that shape our reactions and decisions. Every individual is faced with a constant stream of internal impulses, emotions, desires, fears, and uncertainties. Marcus Aurelius said, these forces can either guide us toward wisdom or they can control us, leading to hasty decisions, rash actions, and a life filled with regret. Marcus Aurelius said, true power lies in recognizing that we are not slaves, but possess the ability to observe and choose how to respond to them. Marcus Aurelius said, when you master yourself, you cease to be at the mercy of emotions or external circumstances. Instead, Marcus Aurelius said, you act from a place of intentionality, guided by a set of principles and values that you uphold regardless of the situation. Marcus Aurelius said, this inner control allows you to remain steady in the face and to make decisions that are aligned with your long-term goals, rather than being swayed by momentary desires or pressures. Marcus Aurelius said, the ability to control your emotions is perhaps one of the most powerful aspects of self-mastery. Emotions are a natural and inevitable part of the human experience, Marcus Aurelius said, but it is how we handle them that determines our lives. Anger, fear, frustration, Marcus Aurelius said, and anxiety are all emotions that can cloud judgment and provoke actions that we later regret. Marcus Aurelius said, a person who has mastered themselves does, but they do not allow them to dictate their behavior. Marcus Aurelius said, they recognize that emotions are temporary, and the best course of action is often to step back, breathe, Marcus Aurelius, and reflect before reacting. This kind of emotional crawl leads to clarity and insight, Marcus said, rather than impulsive responses driven by emotional turbulence. Marcus Aurelius said, self-mastery also requires a commitment to improvement. It is easy to get caught up in the external world, Marcus Aurelius said. Measuring success by achievements or the appropriate power comes from the ongoing process of refining oneself. Marcus Aurelius said, learning from mistakes and striving to become a better version of who we were yesterday. This inner journey is personal and unique for each individual, Marcus Aurelius said, but the common thread is the relentless pursuit in more disciplined, more focused, Marcus Aurelius said, and more attuned to one's higher purpose. Moreover, mastery involves cultivating resilience in the face of challenges. Life will always present obstacles, setbacks, and difficulties, Marcus Aurelius said, but those who master themselves understand that these challenges are opportunities for growth, not reasons to be defeated. They approach adversity with patience, persistence, as Aurelius said, and an unwavering belief that they can overcome outful action and inner resolve. In essence, Marcus Aurelius said, the greatest form of power is not the ability to control others or shape the world to our will. It is the ability to govern ourselves. When we master ourselves, Marcus Aurelius said, we become impervious to external forces that widen or diminish our resolve. We act with purpose, integrity, Marcus Aurelius said, and wisdom, remaining focused on what truly matters, for it is built from within, and no external force can take it away. The ability to influence a situation or shift the energy room without saying a word is one of the most potent tools available to a person who has mastered their presence. Marcus Aurelius said, "In a world where people often feel the need to force or dominate through speech and action," Marcus Aurelius said, "there is a subtle but undeniable strength in a calm presence can have a profound effect." Marcus Aurelius said, "Not because it seeks to control or direct, but beats to confidence that draws others in, commands respect." Marcus Aurelius said, "and creates an atmosphere where peace and clarity flourish." Prescience is something intangible yet incredibly impactful. Marcus Aurelius said, "It's the ability to stand firm and steady in the uncertainty without the need to react or exert control." Marcus Aurelius said, "When someone walks into a room with this kind of presence, their mere existence can bring calm and order to the space." Marcus Aurelius said, "It is as though their energy balances the room, making more at ease and more willing to listen." Marcus Aurelius said, "This presence does not demand attention, but it's not about taking center stage." Marcus Aurelius said, "but about creating a sense of security and stability. When you possess a calm presence," Marcus Aurelius said, "you become like a rock in the middle of a river. The world around you may swirl with noise, conflict, or uncertainty, but you remain unmoved, centered, and unwavering." Marcus Aurelius said, "This creates a space where others can feel safe and where their own energies can begin to settle." Marcus Aurelius said, "People are instinctively drawn to stillness because you think that the chaos of the world cannot eat peace." Marcus Aurelius said, "When others witness your composed demeanor, they often mirror your calmness, even without realizing it. The tension in the room begins to dissipate." Marcus Aurelius said, "and the energy shifts from one of stress or agitation to one of understanding and harmony." Marcus Aurelius said, "This kind of presence has nothing to do with dom or making people feel small. In fact, it does the opposite." Marcus Aurelius said, "It creates an environment where everyone feasts simply by being in the same space with someone who exudes calm." Marcus Aurelius said, "It's a powerful form of influence, not through words or gestures, but through the energy you radiate." Marcus Aurelius said, "The person who has cultivated this presence doesn't need to force their opinions on others or assert their ideas aggressively." Marcus Aurelius said, "Instead, their very being creates an atmosphere we're naturally drawn to them, where conversations flow more easily." Marcus Aurelius said, "And where cooperation becomes possible, a calm presence is also a reflection of inner strength." Marcus Aurelius said, "It suggests that a person is not easily rattled, they have control over their emotions and reactions." Marcus Aurelius said, "and that they are not overwhelmed by external circumstances. This kind of self-assurance is magnetic." Marcus Aurelius said, "People are often more willing to trust someone who this level of inner peace because it signals that they are not driven by insecurity or fear." Marcus Aurelius said, "Instead, they lead with confidence, know by demonstrating that they are capable and in control. In situations of conflict or tension, a calm presence is a stabilizing force, rather than contributing to the escalation of emotions." Marcus Aurelius said, "The person who remains poised creates the space for others to regain their composure." Aurelius said, "This can be especially powerful in high pressure, where everyone else may be on edge or quick to react. By holding steady," Aurelius said, "a person with a calm presence helps to anchor the group, making it easier for others to think clearly, make rational decisions, and move toward resolution. Ultimately, a calm invitation for others to find peace within themselves." Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not about making grand gestures or seeing tranquility in the midst of chaos. This presence shifts the energy of a room because something rare." Marcus Aurelius said, "A moment of stillness in a world that is off spinning too fast, and is this stillness, this quiet certainty," Marcus Aurelius said, "that has the power to bring clarity and order, simple being there, without saying a word, Marcus Aurelius said. In a world that often prizes immediate reactions, the true art of observation is a rare and invaluable skill. Marcus Aurelius said, while society encourages us to act swiftly, to speak out at the first sign of conflict, and to always have an answer at the ready, Marcus Aurelius said, the ability to wait, watch, and respond only when it truly matters is far more powerful. Marcus Aurelius said, this approach doesn't mean being passive or ignore, but rather it is a deliberate choice to observe, assess, and act with intentionality. By resisting the all-pulse immediately, we gain the clarity necessary to respond in a way that is wise and effective. When we react hastily, we are often driven by our emotions, fears, or external pressures. These knee-jerk responses can lead to regret or ununique consequences, as they are shaped by the very forces we should controlling. In contrast, Marcus Aurelius said, taking the time to observe before acting allows us to step outside of our immediate emotional reactions. Marcus Aurelius said, it gives us the chance to see the situation more clearly, to understand the motivations of others, Marcus Aurelius said, and to assess how best to navigate the challenge at hand. Observation creates space for reflection, which allows us to avoid acting in a way that is impulsive or reactive. Marcus Aurelius said, one of the greatest benefits of observation is that it forces you to understand the full scope of a situation. Marcus Aurelius said, too often, people make decisions based on incomprehension or assumptions. By waiting and watching, we allow the facts to reveal themselves in their own time. Marcus Aurelius said, this patient approach enables us to gain a deeper the dynamics at play, whether it's a social interaction, a professional dilemma, or a personal challenge. Aurelius said, when we resist the urge to immediately impose or to fix the situation, Marcus Aurelius said, we open ourselves to the possibility of disabor we would mord if we had acted too quickly. We begin to notice subtle details, the unspoken cues, the body language. Marcus Aurelius said, the hidden tensions that would otherwise go unnoticed in our rush to respond. By observing before reacting, Marcus Aurelius said, we also give ourselves the opportunity to avoid omission, words, gestures, Marcus Aurelius said, and actions are often layered with meaning, and when we are too quick to speak or act, we may overlook the deeper context. Marcus Aurelius said, a moment of observation allows us to consider the purpose of others, to understand their underlying intentions, Marcus Aurelius said, and to recognize the factors that might be influenced before. These awareness leads to more thoughtful, empathetic responses that take into account the complexities of the situation. Marcus Aurelius said, rather than merely addressing the surface level issues. In addition to seeing our understanding of the situation, Marcus Aurelius' observation allows us to choose the right moment to act. Not every challenge requires an immediate response. Sometimes, the best course of action is to wait and let the situation unfold. By doing so, Marcus Aurelius said, we can avoid adding fuel to a fire or escalating too thoroughly. When we act only when it matters most, our actions are more likely to be well-timed and impactful. In many cases, Marcus Aurelius said, choosing the right moment to intervene can make all the difference in achieving a positive outcome. Marcus Aurelius said, this principle also applies to interactions in conversations, particularly those involving conflict or disagreement. Marcus Aurelius said, it can be tempting to immediately offer our opinion or core point. However, Marcus Aurelius said, often the most effective response is to simply ferve or the other person to fully express themselves. Marcus Aurelius said, in doing so, we gain a better understanding of few. When we do choose to respond, our words are more likely to be measured and constructive. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius said, observation over reaction empowers us to take control rather than being controlled by the circumstances around us. It is a practice of patience, of self-discipline, and emotional intelligence. By stepping back, watching, Marcus Aurelius said, and waiting for the right moment to act, we cultivate a sense of mastery over ourselves and our environment. This approach leads to more thoughtful, Marcus Aurelius said, effective decision-making and enables us to live life with greater wisdom and grace. More in a world that is often dominated by words and decorations. Marcus Aurelius said, there is something deeply powerful about allowing our actions to speak for us. Words are easy to come by, Marcus Aurelius said, and anyone can say what they intend to do, express or even declare their values. However, Marcus Aurelius said, it is in the consistency of our actions and the discipline with which we live that the true measure of our character and capabilities are revealed. Whereas said, words, though important, are fleeting and can easily be manipulated or forgotten. Actions, on the other hand, have a lasting impact. Marcus Aurelius said, they leave an imprint not just on others but on others as well, shaping who we are and how we are perceived. Marcus Aurelius said, when we let our actions speak, we move beyond the surface of communication and engage in something far more profound. It is one thing to say that we value integrity, hard work, or kindness, Marcus Aurelius said. It is entirely another to demonstrate those in every aspect of our lives. Declarations can inspire, but actions are what build trust and credibility. Marcus Aurelius said, they are the evidence that shows we mean what we say and that we are core to living in alignment with our words. Consistency is key in this process. Anyone can take actions or twice, Marcus Aurelius said, but true character is revealed in the long term of behavior. A single act of kindness, for example, Marcus Aurelius said, may make a positive impression, but if that act is not part of an ongoing commitment to kindness, Aurelius said, it risks being dismissed as a mere gesture. To truly embody the values we claim to hold, we must consistently live them out. Day after day, in both big and small ways, consistency what builds reputation. Marcus Aurelius said, it is what turns fleeting moments into lasting legacies. People come to rely not on what we say, but on what they know we will do. Marcus Aurelius said, because our actions have proven themselves, timing is another crucial element of letting our actions speak. Marcus Aurelius said, discipline is the force that keeps us on track when the initial excitement or motivation fades. It is easy to make promises or to take bold action when we are inspired, Marcus Aurelius said, but maintaining that level of effort when it becomes inconvenient is what truly defines our character. Marcus Aurelius said, discipline ensures that we don't falter when things are difficult, that we don't give up when we encounter setbacks, Marcus Aurelius said, and that we continue to show up even when the rewards are not immediately visible. Marcus Aurelius said, it is through discipline that we demonstrate our goals, values, and the promises we make to others. Marcus Aurelius said, when we allow our actions to speak, we also cultivate an inner sense of pride and fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius said, there is something deeply satisfying about knowing that we have through on what we said we would do, especially when it was difficult or required personal sacrifice. This internal validation is more enduring and by external praise, Marcus Aurelius said, because it is grounded in the knowledge that we are true to ourselves. Our actions reflect our intentions, and when those two align, Marcus Aurelius said, we experience a sense of integrity and self-respect that cannot be taken away. Furthermore, letting our actions speak has a ripple effect on others. People notice consistency and discipline. Marcus Aurelius said, they notice when someone lives according to their principles, and they are inspired by it. Marcus Aurelius said, our actions set an example for those around us than any words we could offer. Aurelius said, by living with integrity and discipline, we influence the spaces we inhabit, whether at work, at home, Marcus Aurelius said, or in our communities. Our behavior becomes a system of leadership, guiding others not through what we say, Marcus Aurelius said, but through what we do. In addition, when we consistent in accordance with our values, Aurelius said, we begin to build a sense of mastery over ourselves and over environment. We stop relying on external validation or approval, Marcus Aurelius said, because we know that our actions are speaking for us. We begin to take ownership of our lives. Marcus Aurelius said, knowing that the path we walk is determined by discipline we apply and the consistency with which we show up. Marcus Aurelius said, our actions create momentum, propelling us forward and reinforcing the very values we hold dear. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius said, the true measure of our character is not found in our words, but in our actions. Marcus Aurelius said, it is through consistent and disciplined behavior that we reveal who we truly are and what we stand for. Marcus Aurelius said, when we let our actions speak, we move beyond declarations, creating a life that is meaningful, impactful, and rooted in authenticity. Actions are what leave a lasting mark on the world, Marcus Aurelius said, and it is through them that we communicate ourselves and to others. In life, chaos is inevitable. Marcus Aurelius said, there will always be moments of unpredictability, caution the forces that threaten to disturb our peace, whether it's personal struggles, professional or social turbulence. Marcus Aurelius said, the world around us can often feel like a world. However, in the midst of this chaos, there is an extraordinary power in remaining grounded and unshaken. Marcus Aurelius said, to be the unmoved mover is to embody a sensibility that is not influenced by the turmoil around us. It is to stand firm, Aurelius said, like an anchor amidst the storm. Being the unmover requires a deep sense of self-awareness and emotional control. Marcus Aurelius said, when external circumstances press upon you, react us, swept away by the intensity of the situation. Marcus Aurelius said, emotions like anger, fear, or frustration can compel us to act impulsively. Marcus Aurelius said, but those who remain unmoved have learned to detach themselves from the immediate emotions of the moment. Marcus Aurelius said, they recognize that emotions, while naturally, they understand that reacting in haste rarely leads to positive outcomes, Aurelius said, and instead, they choose to observe and respond with this ability to stay calm and composed, even under pressure. Marcus Aurelius comes from a strong sense of self-mastery. The unmoved mover does or deny the chaos around them. They acknowledge it, Marcus Aurelius said, but they do not allow it to define their actions or minds. Their truth lies in their ability to remain centered. Marcus Aurelius said, regardless of the circumstances, this inner peace is pace but an active choice to maintain balance and perspective. Marcus Aurelius said, by remaining grounded, the unmoved mover creates a space calm that allows them to think more clearly, make better decisions, and lead with confidence, even in the most uncertain of times. Moreover, Marcus Aurelius said, being unmoved does not mean avoiding conflict the world. Rather, it means choosing how to engage. Marcus Aurelius said, in moments of tension or crisis, those who are unmoved become a source of stability for others. Marcus Aurelius said, their composure can be a guiding force, encouraging rationally and act thoughtfully. In this way, Marcus Aurelius said, their calmness becomes contagious, helping to restore in the midst of chaos. Marcus Aurelius said, to be the unmoved mover is to possess the inner treasures of the world without losing your sense of self. It is to remain steadfast, no matter how fierce the storm. In the end, Marcus Aurelius said, the power of being the unmoved mover is not shutting the chaos, but about transforming it. Marcus Aurelius said, when you remain grounded and unshaken, you become a beacon of stability for others. Marcus Aurelius said, showing them that true strength lies not in reacting you're around you, but in mastering your own response. Marcus Aurelius said, it is in those moments of turmoil where your presence becomes your greatest asset. Marcus Aurelius said, as you move through life with unwavering stability, you inspire those around you to do the same. Marcus Aurelius said, you creating a ripple effect that can turn even the most sin into opportunities for growth, clarity, and resolution. So, Marcus Aurelius said, in the face of life's storms, remember the great last part in being swept away, but in being the unmoved mover.